After 7 days of not being seen in public, the Wicked Witch of the West Wing returns. Unfortunately, he's even crazier and more mini-stroke victim-esque than he was before, if you can even imagine.
You're getting a first glimpse, but that's your size compared. So those are compared to, those are among the tallest buildings in the world, including the Empire State Building, World Trade Center,
Yep.
Sears Tower, Chicago.
Yep.
So if you lay it on its side, you take 2 or 3 of them to fill it in, because the width is almost 200 feet wide.
You see, Pumps, what I like to do with my book is I take it like this, okay? And then I lay it on its side. And then I get my cell phone and I put it diagonally, okay? All right. And then I take my head and then I do the podcast through this because I'm the president of the United States. And nobody surrounding me told me this is stupid and it means fucking nothing and nobody cares. And now the reflecting pool looks like Whitewater Bay or Wet Water. What's next? A fucking water slide and make it a wave pool? I mean, why stop here?
CNN's a very corrupt organization, but with a corrupt reporter standing right there. Never smiles. She never smiles. She's a young, beautiful woman, never smiles. I never see a smile off her face. I see her standing there with hatred in her eyes. Like she has hatred because we have borders, because we have a strong military, because we cut our taxes, because we do things that everybody wanted, and then we win our election in a massive landslide.
No, I'm not asking Caitlyn about this because she's got actual work to do, and she doesn't need to be answering questions about this kind of behavior. That's the President of the United States, a nearly 80-year-old man who has no problem commenting on her physical appearance and telling her she needs to smile. That doesn't happen to men. No one's ever said that to me in an office setting. She was there like every other journalist doing her job, standing around with a bunch of non-smiling men, by the way, all behind her. I don't know if you saw that. She gets singled out. Now, this, of course, is not the first time the president has focused on professional female reporters, Caitlyn included.
You are the worst reporter. No wonder CNN has no ratings because of people like you. I don't think I've ever seen a smile on your face.
Well, I'm asking you about survivors of Jeffrey Epstein.
You are an obnoxious, actually a terrible reporter. Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person? You're a terrible person and a terrible reporter. You ought to go back and learn how to be a reporter. No more questions from you.
Is there something incriminating in the file,
Quiet.
Even if he doesn't have dementia, he's a horrible person, right? Like there really is no redeeming qualities. I don't know. Somebody said to me once, it was sort of like what they said to Hillary Clinton, say something nice. She said he loves his kids. And somebody asked me once, what's a good quality about Trump? And I was like, well, I mean, he's a finite being, like the rest of us. That's one good thing about him. So it's gonna, this too shall pass, like I said. But it's, he's not well. He's a malignant narcissist.
Yeah,
and
totally.
We should stop electing sociopaths. I actually wrote an article about that, now that I'm saying it, on the Political Voices Network. That's our problem. What's wrong with us? We keep electing these horrible people.
Right.
And what do you expect? You want to make America great. You start by electing somebody who's good.
Yeah.
Who's just a good person.
Yeah.
Right?
We did. His name was Joe Biden. He was he's a good man.
That's so true. That is so true.
He is a good man.
And they eviscerate him and they eat him alive.
Let's address that really quick. Can you make a comment about the allegations that there's maggots in their food inside the facility, that toilet paper was taken away from them as a form of torture, that their hands have been twisted behind their back? Can you make a statement? Is that true or no? Hold on a second. Is that true or no?
To clean this facility.
Are you going to say that's true or false? Is that false? Can you say that's false on camera? Is it false? Yeah, I didn't think so.
4 years you have to deal with it. Deal with what? What are we dealing with? With Trump as your president. 2 more years. I'm just talking to the guy. He's a fat fucking communist ginger.
Here's an update from Delaney. Listen, I want to remind everybody that we are out here because there's people in there that are being illegally detained, and they have demands. Here's their demand, short and simple. They want to meet with the governor so they can tell the governor of the conditions by which they're being held. They demand to free the young, free the elderly, free the sick at a minimum. Now, they should all be freed. Free them all, because they're being held without habeas corpus, which is why their third demand is to just review their cases. If you get them before a judge, which the Geo Group, the private company that runs this hostage facility, doesn't have enough judges on purpose, because they want to make sure these cases don't get reviewed so they can keep them in these abhorrent conditions. And why do they have them in these abhorrent conditions? Because they're trying to coerce them into signing voluntary deportation orders by keeping them in abhorrent conditions with inadequate medical care, inadequate food, and by doing so, they will coerce them into signing a voluntary deportation order. That's why the fourth demand is to end the coercion. Also, there's a group out here that's been out here for a really long time that is helping these people when they get released. They're making sure they meet with their families. They're making sure they get food and whatever they need. They make sure they're taken care of when they're released. They have a GoFundMe. It's right here. I'm going to put the link in my bio as well as the link in my story. They only have a $4,500 goal. Can we just double that and make it $9,000? If you can't be out here standing in solidarity outside the prison, at least, support with donations. Or if you don't have money, send that link, send that GoFundMe to people who do have it. All right, that's why we're out here. We're out here to stand in solidarity with the people. And by the way, this is happening all across the country. It's not only happening here. Every American needs to know what's happening in your country, and it's going to take the collective voices of the people to end this bullshit. All power to the people. Abolish ICE. Free them all.
Hey guys, I just have to say how truly outrageous it is that Scott Pelley was fired over at 60 Minutes. I worked with Scott Pelley many years ago when he was an anchor at CBS News. We covered Hurricane Katrina together. And the journalist who I observed back then is the same man I see every week on 60 Minutes, somebody who follows in the tradition of Walter Cronkite and Dan Rather and Edward R. Murrow. And if Scott Pelley says that Barry Weiss was murdering 60 Minutes, I believe Scott Pelley. What the Ellisons and Barry Weiss are doing to CBS is unconscionable. It's unforgivable. And as I've said many times, when 60 Minutes is in trouble, we are all in trouble. And we are.
American politics is coin operated. Money goes in, favors come out. And that's why spectacular wealth buys an ever greater share of power over our national affairs, while the mere citizen is treated with contempt. Citizens United was the most destructive court decision in modern American history. It's unleashed a flood of secret money, corporate money, billionaire money on both sides. Members of Congress live in fear of these super PACs. And that corruption is why insurance companies get away with denying your claim for a procedure you needed to save your life. It's why big tech is still allowed to spy on us and sell our lives to the highest bidder. It's why the ultra-rich get another tax break while you pay more for everything. Donald Trump's rise is a symptom of this deeper disease. And I suspect many of you are here because you recognize that our task is not just to contain his wickedness, but to cure the rot that gave rise to it. That this broken moment is an opening not for restoration, but for reformation. Because who really supports allowing unlimited secret political money to bend the national agenda in darkness? In East Point or Valdosta or Brunswick or Columbus, if I ask anyone, Democrat, Independent, Republican, none of the above, if I ask them whether this is how things should work, doesn't matter who they are, the answer is a resounding no. And if it takes a constitutional amendment to end Citizens United, we'll deliver a united Georgia to ratify it.
You see, the reason that y'all want to do this right now isn't because you're afraid that we are after a power grab. It's because you want to lock in this racist agenda for decades to come. Because that's exactly who this court is. This court is racist. This court is immoral, and this court lacks any semblance of ethics. The fact that this court just on last night decided that they want to go after yet another Alabama seat, and then they decided to throw out the votes of the voters in Louisiana because they decided that they wanted to go after yet another black seat in Louisiana. The fact that Virginia decided to stand up and fight back, and it was this same Supreme Court that decided, forget the will of the people and the fact that they voted, we're going to throw that out. This isn't what democracy is supposed to be. So let me be clear about a couple of things. Number one, the court absolutely needs to be expanded because it's been expanded in the past. And yes, it makes sense. If we have 13 circuit courts, then we should have 13 judges. But let's just pretend that the size of America was the same. Let's pretend that the complexity of the cases was the same as it was when we originally got the 9. Let's pretend all those things. I would still argue that it is time to not only expand the court, to introduce some form of ethics and to put term limits on, because you have bad actors like Mitch McConnell. This court was packed by the Republicans, and that is the reason you don't want it unpacked. You see, as a trained attorney, I don't understand how the very same court could say that in the state of Texas, 4 days before we were to have the end of filing, it is too close to the end of filing, and so therefore we've got to go ahead and go forward with these intentionally discriminatory maps. And these are the words and the characterization of a Trump-appointed justice. It's got to be bad when a Trump-appointed justice decides that something is racist and is willing to call a thing and put it into writing, but they did that. They didn't just say it. They laid it out in an opinion that was more than 100 pages long. But this very same court will decide that after votes have been cast to throw those votes out. The reason that we need to do something about this court is because this court has decided that it will bend to the will of a wannabe king. We have never in the history of this country needed a court to say that absolute immunity should be given to a president, because historically we don't actually keep criminals in the presidency. But we know that even after he had been found guilty by a jury of his peers, y'all went out and y'all wanted to say, yes, this is our guy. The same way that right now in the state of Texas for the Texas Senate race, I'm sure all of y'all will line up behind that criminal as well. So I don't want to hear about law and order. I don't want to hear about this is the right thing to do. Just be honest about what it is, because y'all are basically saying that we're stupid. You're playing in our faces. We know that this is about locking in this agenda because you will never do right by the people. The reason that we have elections is because the people are supposed to decide whether or not your policies are actually working for them. But because you have killed our economy, because we are sitting in the midst of an unconstitutional, unlawful war, because we have a president that is lining his pockets and the pockets of his friends and his families in violation of the Emoluments Clause and so many other laws. Y'all want to lock in absolute power by any means necessary. And the last thing that I'll say is I got to respect your gangster, because that's exactly how y'all are acting, like real gangsters. Y'all are mobbing out. And that's one reason that the Democrats are struggling right now, because they have always tried to play by the rules. I am here to say that I applaud the people of Virginia. I am here to say that I applaud the people of California. I am here to say that we need to meet fire with fire and fight y'all tooth and nail so that we can do right by the people.
The gentlelady has expired.
I will yield.
Coquette's life, everybody wants a little life. Coquette's life, everything that makes you living nice. Coca-Cola, keep the sun shining down on your clothing. Coca-Cola, beat your drum now, sing my song. Coca-Cola, lose it alone. Coquette's life, everybody wants a little life. Coquette's life, everything that makes you living nice. Coca-Cola, you and me, reaching for some extra fun. Coca-Cola, we're gonna sing and we're gonna shout. Start all over when the stars come out. Coquette's life, everybody wants a little life. Coca-Cola.
It's time for the Trucker John Livestream. Gonna be a good time. Oh yeah. The Trucker John Livestream. Come along for a good time. It's a good time, good time, good time, good time. Trucker John Livestream. Gonna be a good time. Gonna be the time of your life. Gonna talk some shit. Hush your mouth. Gonna talk a little smack. Gonna talk whatever comes of it. You're gonna always wanna come back. Well, yeah, it's the Trucker John Livestream. He's the biggest, baddest, funniest mother you've ever seen. Watch your mouth, he's headed south. Not even sure what that means, but if it's one thing I know, the Trucker John Livestream is the best thing you've ever seen.
Good morning. Good morning. Let's see. Good morning. Are we on? Good morning. Let's see. I think it's on. Alrighty. Good morning, everybody. It's 10:52 a.m. Pacific Time Zone. I know I scheduled it for 10 a.m. And even prior to that, I said it was going to be 9 a.m. Pushed it off to 10. And now here we are, almost 11 a.m. Sorry about that. Just having some, I don't know, just bungling. I was up late last night till about 4 in the morning or later. I don't know. And so just one of those things. Things weren't downloading and uploading and stuff. There was stuff that got deleted that I didn't, somehow I inadvertently deleted things. So I had to redo stuff. It was just, it's been a mess. It's been a mess. But here we are, 10:53. I have no idea what the temperature is. It says it's loading the weather. So it's probably 90 degrees out or something. How's that for a report? A weather report. It's probably about 90. Probably going to have a daytime high of about 107, I believe, was the forecast. Here on this June 4th, we're at least 10 degrees above average for this time of year, at least. Out here on the outer rim of Las Vegas, on the Boulder Highway. I like to call it the outer rim. It just sounds kind of nasty. I don't know. the outer rim. Anyhow, thanks for being here, guys. We got 21 watching, 20 thumbs ups. We are acting just slightly skeezy. Slightly skeezy, scuzzy, like Republicans, because we have a slight deficit. Because we all know that Republicans operate with huge deficits in all kinds of ways. Fiscally and morally, they have deficits. Anyhow, thanks for being here. I appreciate you. I see Rosanna21 was first in the chat. This morning, first in the chat. Rosanna21 says, TJ, hope all is well with you today and you got your stuff from storage. This community is full of beautiful and amazing people. See you later. You're absolutely correct. This community is full of beautiful, amazing people. You've saved my bacon more than once. That's why I made that little meme. I guess you'd call it a meme. That's why I made that. And I posted that because I was so thankful. And you guys really saved my bacon. Now, I haven't gotten this stuff out. I was able to pay I paid it up in full. So I was planning on what I was going to do with the money you guys gave me that's coming in on June 21st, the Google money, which is all basically money from you guys, either through super chats, super stickers, and memberships. And we do have memberships for starting at $1.99 a month if you want to become a member. And we've got the next level up is $4.99 a month. And I think the top one was it $10.99 or something. But we have memberships. But so I get this little bit of Google money every month, and that comes usually around the 21st. So what I had planned on doing was on the 21st, renting a van or a little cargo van or whatever, and driving down there and getting my stuff out and cleaning that thing out once and for all. That's the plan. But I was talking to my daughter yesterday, and so she says that her and her husband, and maybe I can get my son involved. I don't know. He's, kind of does his own thing. But anyhow, she said that her and her husband would come, would just, instead of me driving down there, that they would just, we could make arrangements for them to go ahead and empty it out, and they would just bring it up here, so then I don't have to drive down and back, And then since that's like right around, and that would be, she wanted to do that on Friday with the 19th instead of me. Otherwise, I would have to wait for the 21st and, waiting for that money. And that money doesn't always just deposit right on the 21st. It might be the 22nd, it might be the 23rd. So yeah, she said she could do it, her and her husband, on the 19th. And that is Father's Day weekend. So then then as we were talking, she's like, yeah, maybe we can stay the night. Maybe we'll do something with Father's Day and the whole thing. So it turns out to be a really good thing for me anyhow. So that's the plan for them to go ahead and do that around the 19th, get that thing cleared out, and then it'll be out of my life. And then hopefully my daughter will come up, and son-in-law, and my son and daughter-in-law, maybe they'll come up for the weekend, and we can have a little Father's Day thing. So I'm looking forward to that, for all that stuff. But you guys really came through amazingly. Even WW, who's here with the big super chat. So then there's David Weiss from Denver. Hello, David Weiss. Good to see you. Now, David has offered to give me a vehicle, right, Dave? I forget what year, but it's an old Saturn. Dave says it runs well. He says the AC works really good. I told David, hey man, if you're going to give me a car, even though you live in Denver and I live in Vegas, the first thing I said is I'll get a cheap Frontier flight Frontier Airlines. And as I know they're cheap, and I'll fly to Denver and get that thing. I was checking out the flights. They've got flights as cheap as $27 to Denver. So if you're serious about that, and at some point, because David has, we've spoken through I guess DM you call it, I don't know. And I kind of told him, hey, let me get all this storage stuff situated, and we can talk more about the car. But if that's legit and Dave wants to do that, then maybe sometime after, like I said, after Father's Day and after I get the storage stuff all cleared out and taken care of, maybe I'll buy one of those $27 tickets. There, depending on the days, it was anywhere from $27 to like $66 or whatever for a flight, one-way flight from Vegas to Denver. So with that Google money, I'll do that and then have money for gas money to get back home. It's an 800-mile trip. I don't know what kind of gas mileage that car gets, and I don't know how much the gas is going to cost. I'm trying to figure it out because it's hard to do that. I don't know what the mileage is going to be. Let's say if it gets 20 miles a gallon. I mean, a Saturn should probably get more than that, but it's an old car, 200,000 miles. Let's just say for the sake of argument, let's just say it gets 20 miles a gallon. I would suspect, though, it might get better than that on the freeway, on the highway. But anyhow, let's just say 20 miles a gallon. So how many gallons of gas would I use for? Let's round it up to 800. I think it's a little less than 800 miles. Although I was thinking, instead of taking that car across the Rockies on I-70, I was thinking maybe taking I-25 down to Albuquerque, all the way to the 40 and going across that way. That's out of route. That adds a lot. I don't know how many miles that adds. I didn't really figure that. I'm pretty sure that's going to add. That might add a couple hundred miles. I don't know. I don't even know. But it is less mountain climbing. There is some mountains along the way especially right there at the New Mexico Colorado border. There's a mountain range you have to go through, but it's not. I don't think it's quite as much as going through the Rockies, going through the Vail Pass and all that. I don't know. So just stuff I was thinking about. But yeah, so I don't know how many miles. Maybe some of you math wizards would figure out 20 miles a gallon going 800 miles. How many gallons of gas would I use? And then we would times that by I don't know, $5 a gallon. I don't know. I'm beginning to think that's going to be a lot of money in gas. But anyhow, thanks, David Weiss, for being here, and thanks for that offer. And we'll talk more about that later. Brooklyn SJU. Hey, Brooklyn, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in. Appreciate you. DPD is here. Hello, DPD. WW is here. Yep. Anna Moore. Hello, Anna Moore. Good to see you in the driver's lounge. I'm just scrolling on down. Who else we got in here? WW says no extra ballroom money, no $1.776 billion retribution fund. Congress is not entirely insane. Well, of course, the Democrats have been against that. The Republicans that are crossing the aisle are seeing how unpopular that shit is, and they're reading what happened here? DPD $50 super chat. Yippee dippy DPD. Thank you so much, Deputy Dog. I used to call you. Thank you so much, DPD. Says now here's the super chat. $50. Thank you, DPD. Says would the British allow? Oh, it keeps moving. Would the British allow for the destruction of Buckingham Palace, Abbey Road, Big Ben, or the British Museum? The answer is no. So why have we allowed this regime to desecrate the White House and other national treasures? It's sad, extremely frustrating. because of all the sycophants, all the Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, who is a little mamby-pamby milquetoast and is completely just a Trump sycophant and and loyalist, I guess. It's because of that. It's because the Republicans have completely given all their power to Trump. But like I said, a few of them are starting to really see how unpopular he is. I mean, his popularity keeps dropping. I don't know how much lower it can go. So it's finally sinking into some of these Republicans, but they have been so afraid of MAGA that they capitulate to everything he wants. That's how. Simple answer, I guess. DPD says, I've had a lazy morning. Don't be jealous. DPD says, Rosanna Scroggle. Oh, yeah, came through for TJ. You sure did. Scroggle came through with that $310 PayPal. So I was able to get that money instantly. That's the thing about these super chats is it takes over a month. I mean, depending on when you do it. Like this super chat now, that $50. I'll see 2/3 of that. By the way, YouTube does take a third out. So the $303.33 super chat that Wes Webb did. That was Wes Webb, right? No, not WW. On was that Tuesday show or whatever it was? I won't see that until let's see. I'll see that June 21st. Okay. I'll get that on the 21st. So so here we are in June. Was that or was that in June? I'm getting confused now. Were we still in May when that? Well, anyhow, the point is, anything I get like in June, I'm not going to see until July 21st. And I'm not complaining or anything like that. I'm just telling you how it is. Just that's how it is. That's why I do post the PayPal links and the Buy Me a Coffee links because they do take they do have a small kind of a pretty small like processing fee or whatever. They take a few bucks out. Literally, it's like a few dollars or something. But for PayPal, I can get that money. I can have it just instant. Buy Me a Coffee to withdraw is a little bit longer. That sometimes takes a few days. So the PayPal one is the best as far as like if it's if I need it immediately or whatever. And then Buy Me a Coffee is probably the second best. Sometimes it can take a few days or even a week or something for them to withdraw the money and transfer it or whatever, because it's a transfer thing. And then here on Super Chats, Super Stickers, they YouTube takes a 1/3 cut of it. And then, like I say, they pay it out like the following month, around the 21st. And I usually don't talk about the breakdown of that and how that works, because I'm just happy to get anything I can get or whatever I can get, whatever helps to support the show, keeps the show going and growing. And so that's why I have all these options, just whatever is the easiest and best way for anyone who is so inclined to drop a donation to the show. So we have these options: PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, and YouTube Super Chats, Super Stickers, and memberships are the basic ways. And then whatever we get through ad revenue, and that is through clicks. That's why I'm always like, let's get 5K, let's get 10K, let's get 100K, because the more subscribers you have, theoretically, the more viewers you would have, the more eyeballs you have, more people are clicking on shit, and then you get ad rev. This is like a business. It's like a business. What am I doing? I'm not a businessman. What the fuck am I doing? Who the hell am I trying to kid here? I'm not a businessman, and this is like turning into a freaking business. Anyhow, but I appreciate, if it wasn't for that business, I would be on the streets. Really, I would be. Going back to the eviction and all that. You guys have helped me out so much. So someday, if I ever make it to be like a big YouTuber and I've got all this extra money rolling around, we're going to have like a freaking Trucker John party. We're going to get together and have a big old party. All right? Now, I did forget to plug in my microphone again for the whole, it's been, what last show was on Tuesday. Usually I just plug it in and keep it on the charger for 2 days or whatever. I forgot to do that. So at some point, I'll keep a lookout if you guys start yelling at me about the audio. Because I did plug it in. I noticed it about, 45 minutes ago or whatever, and I plugged it in. So we did get some charge on it, but at some point the microphone, so if all of a sudden if there's no audio, it's because my mic went dead, and then hopefully we'll catch that. Before I ramble on for 10 minutes and with no sound, But anyhow, yeah, thank you guys so much for all of your contributions and donations, and I wouldn't be here without you guys. Let's see. WW made some bacon and eggs for breakfast. That sounds good. I'm still savoring the thought of that great breakfast that DPD's husband and son made. Son or sons? The other day. Let's see. I'm just scrolling down. DPD says that she has a very funny story to tell us. Let's see if that was in here. I haven't got to that yet. Josh Sees is here. Always good to see. No. Always good to see Josh Sees in the chat. Because as you know, Josh probably hates that I do this every time. Josh, because Josh Sees is in the theater presently. In the theater production of Anastasia. And for some reason, I think theater people should speak with this slight British accent. I don't know. I don't know why I do that. Probably because I'm goofy. Yesterday, I'm still kind of, happy. Just thinking about the conversation I had yesterday with someone that I haven't spoken with in over 30 years, probably. My best friend in high school, and years after that, into our 20s, and then he was my best man at my wedding in 1989. And then, life does its thing, and he moved out of the area, and I moved down of, I was down below for a while, and, down below for us is LA, by the way, for us people who live in the high desert. And so we separated, and we just lost contact. We lost touch, and through social media, we ran into each other again. And he gave me his phone number, and I called him, and we talked, and we just picked up right where we left off, man. Like the 35 years never even occurred. It was like we just were best buds, man. I'm gonna cry thinking about it. I mean, my best friend, we're like brothers, and we finally spoke and talked, and it was great. And I'm still kind of high on that. That was just a great conversation, and I'm looking forward to future conversations. Looking forward to getting together at some point. He's actually in Reno, and I'm down here in Vegas. And he has a son who lives kind of in between, and so we're going to try to. He wants to come down and visit and stuff, so we're going to try to, see each other and stuff. And but man, it was just great touching bases and reconnecting and catching up with my best friend. So that's awesome. It was really awesome. DPD says shame on Governor Mikey Sherrill. Yeah, I'm really turned off. I'm turned off by her. The way she's handled that Delaney Hall. Yeah, I'm really disappointed. I'm disappointed with her. DPD says I haven't seen Wes in the chat. Oh, well, Wes isn't here, but WW is here, and I believe WW and Wes are, I think, close friends, close associates. If you know what I mean. You know what I'm talking about? WW says the people being detained are very often refugees from crime and violence, not just poverty. There are rich people in every country. Okay, yeah, I think we're aware of that. Anna Moore says, I'm so thankful for America rising up against this tyrannical government. Wannabe, we are still a nation of law and order. Yeah, sometimes we're just a little slow on the uptake, or it takes a while to get everyone, out there and doing stuff. But eventually, I think it all filters down. The truth filters down into the masses, and then we start to see stuff happen. But sometimes it takes a while, but because not everyone is as knowledgeable and in the know as we are. Michelle's here. Hey, Michelle, good to see you. Michelle says, it is getting bad. We have to get rid of Citizens United. Absolutely. That's what John Ossoff was talking about. John Ossoff, man, oh man. He's in a way, I guess, reminded me of Barack Obama in the terms of just giving great speeches. The guy can deliver a great speech, can he? WW says some Texans seem to love their rot. I don't know, man. People just have their points of view, like, I know that sounds stupid what I just said, but I mean, like talking about my friend Mike, who I love like a brother. I know we have. I'm pretty sure we didn't talk about politics. We did talk about religion. So I know we have. I know we've got differing points of view on that stuff. But I'm not. I don't care when it comes to Mike or I don't give a fuck, man. I'm gonna be friends with my friends. I mean, I know a lot of us were like, I'm not gonna forgive anybody, but I don't know, man. I'm tired. I'm tired of hating. I'm tired of alienating. And we just might. I mean, there's a time where you got to put your foot down and you stand up for what you believe in. That's for sure. I'm not saying not to do that, but we just might do better in the long run if we don't alienate everyone. You know what I mean? Hey, there's Jolie. Good to see Jolie. I know these hours are a little different that I'm doing, and so I appreciate Jolie coming in, being here, and helping me out, having my back, like always. WW says, hey, Jolie, I wonder if Jazzy knows about the snakes and gerrymanders the Democrats have created in Illinois. Yeah, I'm sure she does, and I'm sure she would say, you know what? They're only doing that because they have to do that. But those same Democrats that have created the snakes and gerrymanders would only be too happy to vote on legislation to end partisan gerrymandering. But until in such time, they're going to use the system to the best that they can so that they can not get trounced by Republicans who are only too happy, as we've seen, to create these crazy district maps that are taking away votes and are taking away representation for people of color. The Republicans are only too happy to do that. And are not interested at all in any type of reform. Democrats are. That's the difference. William's here. Hello, William. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us in the Driver's Lounge today. This is the Driver's Lounge. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for being here. WW, if every state doesn't create maps democratically, any state is stupid not to do so. You can create maps in a nonpartisan way. And there are checks and balances. You can have, nonpartisan boards and stuff, and it gets checked and double checked. There are ways of doing it. And these decisions that are coming down in like Louisiana and Alabama and these deep southern states, these lower courts, even with Trump appointed judges, have said, yeah, these new maps you're coming up with, these are crazy. They're racist. They are intentionally designed to deny black people representation. And our racist Supreme Court, and I'm not saying that Sotomayor and the other the other two are racist, but John Roberts, well, I don't know, but the majority Supreme Court, John Roberts, he's racist. They're racist. The Republican appointed SCOTUS judges, they're fucking racist. because they're overturning those decisions, and they're taking away people of color's representation. So there's no one that really represents them and cares about their needs, their what's going on with their districts. Hey, Paul Burles is here. I hope you're feeling better, Paul. I don't know if you're out of the hospital. Oh wait, maybe not. That says Paul says, "Roll on, mama, roll on, crew, roll on, mama." Like I asked you to do, roll on home from the home from the hospital. Lots of pain. Okay, so you're out of the hospital, which I think is a good sign, but you're in lots of pain. I hope get through that pain, man. Hope the best for you. I don't know if you got meds or whatever, but get better soon, Paul Burrows. Get better soon. WW says my mom collected a bunch of 1976 souvenirs, said that they would be worth something someday. I think that most of it went to the Salvation Army. Yeah, I don't think I have anything. I remember 1776. I mean 1976. I'm not that old. I don't remember 1776. But yeah, I remember 1976 and all the hoopla, the centennial, or bicentennial. Wait, what was it? Yeah, the bicentennial. The centennial was 1876, and I'm not old enough for that one either. But 1976 bicentennial, it was a big deal. Here we are coming up on the 250th. And President Trump is really gearing up to make a real shit show of our anniversary. DPD says, okay, well, so far I had counted 25 black folks in the ad, so yeah, fuck you, Coca-Cola. Oh, was that not enough? I thought that was good. 25 black folks. I thought I don't know. That seems like a lot to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm the racist. I don't know. Vasantha's here. Hey, Vasantha, good to see you. Vasantha Elf or E1F. Looks like Elf, but I guess that's a one. Anyhow, did anyone watch the song "Never Bomb the Countries with Oil"? It's so hilarious. I did not. I have not. Is that one of those Lego? Was that one of those Lego videos? I haven't watched any of those in a while. For some reason, I assume they're still coming out with them. I haven't really. I just haven't seen any pop up in any of my feeds lately for some reason. WW, the thing that people seem to forget is that oil burns. I don't know what that was in reference to. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Jolie says, I'll be back to take a shower, go home from a hike. They kicked my ass. Wow. Said it was moderate, definitely rugged. Pretty sure I swallowed a bug and almost fell in the creek twice. All right, get showered up. Go spit out that bug. Spit that bug out. Petrazi, hey Petrazi. Good to see Petrazi. Thanks for popping on in. Oh, thanks for popping on in. Oh, let's see. Yeah, because I know BB is on right now. So I appreciate folks who come here too. W says, way to go, Dave. Did I miss something? Who's Dave? I don't know. David Weiss? Maybe? I don't know. Paul Burroughs life flight, $58,000. Is that what that's what it cost to? They had to airlift you out to the hospital. Josh says Saturns are supposed to be reliable. Michelle, can you fly in America with the Star? Asking from Arizona. Are you talking about on your license, your driver's license? Or something? I can fly. All I know is I can fly. I've flown. Josh says 40 gallons. So is 40 times 5 200? So I'm gonna need probably at least $200 for gas money. WW, get out your Google Maps. Yeah, to do that reroute, to do that the mileage on the reroute, because I'm pretty sure I just asked, Siri. I don't say it too loud. Like, what's the distance from Vegas to Denver? She said 770. And I didn't look at the map or whatever. And I'm assuming that is taking I-70 all the way across the Rockies and through Utah to the 15, and then you just shoot down the 15 down to Vegas. That's probably the best way. That's probably the way I should go. But you want to know the truth of why I was thinking of going down to Albuquerque? And maybe, I shouldn't lie to you guys. I shouldn't keep things from you guys. It wasn't really about the mountains, climbing the mountains in the car. The mountain, the big, the passes, the big, there's some steep climbs and stuff going through I-70. But there's a few, there's some in going the other way too. You want to know the real reason? Maybe you guys could tell me if this is stupid or not. But here's the real reason. I wanted to go to Albuquerque and take the 40 across. The real reason is because this is the 100th anniversary of Route 66. And if I had the money in the car, the vehicle, the money, the ability to take the time, what I would love to do is I would love to go back to Chicago. Here's what I'd like to do. Drive to Chicago, or I was even kind of fantasizing about flying to Chicago and buying a car in Chicago. Like, this is like if I had the money, and not a fancy car, but just a good, reliable, inexpensive car in the Chicago area, and starting where Route 66 starts in the Chicago area, and driving Route 66 all the way to Santa Monica, California, and videotaping it and doing live streams and all that kind of stuff that I do, the stuff I do, and taking my time, maybe taking a couple weeks to do that or whatever. That's my sort of dream scenario, but to do, I would love to do that. And I think it'd be cool. It'd be fun. And this is the 100th year of the Route 66. And 66 is my favorite 2-digit number. 66 was my football number in high school. So there's all this stuff. But, I don't see that happening with my current financial situation, my car situation, the whole thing. is not really feasible to do that. But then I thought, hey, if I'm going to Denver, let's just say I get a car. I don't even know if this thing with David is going to go through or not. But let's just say if it does or whatever. Then I thought, well, maybe I could just drop down from Denver down to Albuquerque, hit the 40, and then because the 66, a lot of Route 66 doesn't exist anymore, so you have to take I-40. But then there's you can get maps, and there's places where you can go off, and you can actually go on some actual Route 66. There's a whole thing. And so you're kind of off and on the 40, and then there's places where you can go off where you're actually on Route 66. There's a whole thing. So I thought, well, maybe I can't do the entire Route 66, but maybe I could at least go from like Albuquerque to, well, Kingman would be the logical kind of stop off point. And then from Kingman, you would just head up to Vegas. Or if I wanted, I don't know if I would be able to go all the way to Santa Monica, but I could maybe, instead of going to Kingman, I could go down to like Needles, which is a little bit further down, and go to somewhere around there. That's like the California Arizona state line right there at the Colorado River. And then there's a Highway 93, I think, that I could just take that and go up to Vegas from that way. So I could at least do the Route 66 from let's say Albuquerque to Needles in this 100th year anniversary. And that's what I would like to do. That would be fun, and I think I would have a great time doing that. And I would share that with you guys on videos and live streams and stuff. But but doing that, even just doing that, I don't know how much extra that would be in gas. And I don't know how, if I should chance putting that extra mileage on that car. Maybe I should just concentrate on getting the car home and just saving it, whatever life is left in that car, to be my work car. That's the whole thing of getting the car, so I have a car to go back and forth to work in. So anyhow, but that's how my mind thinks, guys. If you ever wondered what does Trucker John think about, that's the kind of shit that goes through my head. I'm just now scrolling down to DPD's $50 super chat. So you get another yippee, DPD. Thank you so much. And a thumbs up and a heart. There you go. That's how far behind I am in the chat, by the way. But that's just the way it goes, guys. That's how the show rolls. I read your chats, and it takes time, and it's, DPD, sorry I haven't set up PayPal. Do not be sorry, DPD. Do not be sorry. I am grateful for anything and everything, whatever donos I could get in any of those forms I mentioned. Aaron West is here. Hey, Aaron, good to see you. Thanks for popping on in. All days for popping on in. I know you're busy trying to get a job and trying to, get your life situated. So I appreciate you being here. Mad Mac is here. Slava Ukraini, Mad Mac. Thanks for being here. Absolutely. WW says, DPD, it's not going to work that different when it's done. Won't be twice the size of the White House. And what just an incredible waste of money. When Donald Trump comes out and says, we just don't have the money for Medicare and healthcare and for SNAP, and we just don't have the money for that, man. But we could tear down the East Wing and build this, and he said it was going to be private money, and it turns out no, we need money. It's just disgusting. I think Jolie's back from her shower and bug removal, and Aaron is here. So you know what that means, right? You guys know what that means, right? We got Jolie and Aaron in the chat room. That means that we are at Full mod capacity. Full mod capacity. Whew. I can never do the high part of that. Thank you, Jolie. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate you guys. Michelle, just like the wall. Yeah, Mexico will pay for that. Man, Mac, I got a bridge I'd like to sell you. WW, the wall doesn't work when you have drones and tunnels. And we have drones too. See, that's why you don't really need a wall. But there are certain places, yeah, where a wall is appropriate or a fence is appropriate. Barriers need to be put up, and we have those, and where it's needed. And there are other places where it's just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles of the most desolate, hard, difficult country to walk through, dangerous with snakes and coyotes and I mean real coyotes, because coyotes I mean and so there's tunnels that are dug. There are certain trails that are used, and we have the technology, and we've been using the technology of there's detection technology, there's surveillance, there's cameras, there's satellites, there's drones that can just patrol back and forth over the borders, over the that Mexico USA border, and you could have surveillance drones patrolling that night and day, 24/7, 365. And then when it detects human beings crossing, it can be picked up by the border patrol, and they can send out a bunch of border patrol officers, and they can go round people up. I mean, a wall is so 10th century. That's where MAGA's mind is in the 10th century. Guys, this is the 21st century. We have the tools, as Ernie Hudson said in Ghostbusters. We have the tools, I think he said. So it's just the wall thing, though, was just from the very beginning a Trump scam. It was just something that he knew that his MAGA followers would perk up their ears, because they don't understand like nuance or any of that. They just think wall. Oh yeah, like the Great Wall of China. That's what they envisioned. We're gonna just build the Great Wall of China type wall all along our southern border. All, I don't know, 2,500 miles of it or whatever it is. No matter the terrain, no matter the cost. But if they did that, if they made a wall that looked like the Great Wall of China, all the way across the southern border, that would probably cost what comes after trillion? Gazillion? I don't even know what comes after trillion. That's the honest to God truth. I don't even know. I think it might be zillion. Is there such a thing as zillion? But they don't give a fuck about that, because in their little heads, they see this great big giant wall of China going across the southern border. And they're like, yeah, that'll keep those brown people out. Never mind the fact that the Democrats have had comprehensive immigration reform bills that have been killed and round filed by Republicans at Donald Trump's ordering, even when he wasn't president anymore. Before, between 2020 and 2024, when he was out of office, he was telling Republicans, "Don't vote on that immigration reform bill. Don't do it. Just kill it, because it'll be so good that they're going to win re-election. I don't want to give them anything good to run on." So he was like a shadow president. He was like a shadow, or at least certainly was still the Republican leader, even when he was out of office. We Democrats have much better ideas on how to secure the border, but the Republicans don't want to do it. Because all they have to do is say the wall, and a significant number and a sufficient number of MAGA and Republicans will their ears will perk up and go, "Yeah, wall, wall, wall." But if you start talking about, using satellites and drones and motion detectors, and maybe increasing the number of Border Patrol agents, increasing, some substations along the way, and then doing things like increasing immigration judges and setting up courts right there at the port of entries and getting more judges so you can really adjudicate and process like asylum claims and all this kind of stuff, and find out who's there for asylum, who's there to work, who's there to go to school, who's just there, whatever. MAGA doesn't want to listen to that. All they want to hear is the wall. Yeah, the wall. Woo, woo, woo. I want the wall. I want the wall. They can't. They're just such simpletons, and Trump knows how, I guess, to motivate simpletons. They're not as sophisticated as you or I. That's all I'm saying. They're not as sophisticated as you or I. DPD says, funny story, I found out how I'm allergic to papaya, of all things. My husband made me a papaya smoothie, which fucked up both my lips. I look like the character from Fat Albert. Oh my goodness gracious. Have you never had papaya before? Not that I'm sitting around eating papaya all the time, but it's a heck of a way to find out, I guess. Well, fortunately, it wasn't fatal, and now you know. No papaya smoothies for you. I'll check my mic. Green light's on, so someone asked, DPD asked how Paul Burrows, how he's feeling, because Paul Burrows just had a heart attack, right, Paul? And so he's at home recovering, and Paul says, I feel like I was run over, I guess. Yeah, well, man, just take it easy and take it day by day. I think you'll get better every day. Josh says, I tried it for a laugh in the pit. I suppose it worked. What did you try? The English accent? I'm just scrolling back. I don't know what you tried. I'm just going to assume it was the British accent that I told you to use. With all your theater friends. Hello, my theater friends. Good morning, my fellow theater friends. Let's break a leg, shall we? Break a leg, shall we? Deepity says, no, just the papaya. My son came into our bedroom and started screaming. He goes, Mom, what happened to your lips? I jumped up and went to the bathroom or something, and I laughed. And then I thought, what the fuck? Oh, boy. Wow. They just puffed right up. And apparently you didn't even know it, or you didn't feel it or anything. Deepity said, I'm fine. I went to my doctor, and she subscribed me Benadryl. Everett Tauscher is here. Hey, Everett, good to see you. Thanks for popping on in. Oh, thanks for popping on in. Good to the last drop. Speaking of last drop, I just used the last of my my Don Francisco's coffee. I'm going to have to go shopping. Mad Max says we need to have a modern day Boston Tea Party now. Now, Boston Tea Party. We're going to have, we can do that through peaceful protesting, marching. There should be some more like No Kings stuff coming up. We need to get out there and get active with that. Search for You just sent you some coffee. Thank you, Search for You. Speaking of coffee. Paul Burrows, I saw the video of Trump saying nobody prays better than him. Yeah, Trump is just the best at everything. No one prays as good as me. I'm the best prayer. Deepity says, TJ, I have to agree with you on shunning MAGA. I can't, under any circumstances, forgive individuals who recoil at my existence and my children or anyone else who happens to be different from them. I understand that. I get it. And I'm not saying in all situations, it's maybe a case by case thing, but maybe there are certain people that you just might, I'm not saying you're going to turn them into a Democrat or something, but you just might get more progress or something with honey than you do with vinegar, but I understand. I know, man. This is serious. This isn't something to be trifled with, or is trifled the word? This isn't my English is failing me. But yeah, I mean, this is important stuff, especially for people of color, because this MAGA movement is so blatantly racist and misogynistic and anti, LGBTQ plus rights. They just want everything to be tilted towards them, and by them I mean the white people. So I know it's and it's probably, and I'm sure, like, I'm an old white guy, and so I probably forget about, or sometimes, just how devastating this whole MAGA movement and Trump being president, how devastating this is for the black community and for people of color in general. Not that I forget it, because we see it in these videos, and we see what's going on with the vote. Brown people being scooped up just because they're brown people. They might be born and raised here in America, but there are brown people that are being scooped up and thrown into these detention camps. I guess that's my white privilege, that I can forget that, even though I see these things every day when I'm doing my intros and looking for videos to put in. Every day I'm seeing people of color having their rights taken away from them and being treated like second-class citizens, and I should not forget that. Michelle, yeah, star on license. That's what you need, right? I have I've got my whatever they call it license. I'm good to go. WW is telling about his dream about bridges. DPD says, no, TJ, you're not racist. I just prefer an even ratio between my marshmallows and sprinkles concerning the ad, if you catch my drift. Yeah, and I guess another thing that I watched that ad and I wasn't even counting the color of the people, you know, and I was just thinking back about 1976. You know, it just made me, as I was watching that, just thinking about where was I in 1976 and what were we doing and what we did and how it was a big build up. It was a big celebration. WW, they are celebrating Route 66. Oh, I know they're celebrating all along the course. Like I said, it starts in Chicago and it ends in Santa Monica, and they've got stuff all along the route. Everett Tauscher says 55 gallons. Who was it that said 60 gallons? Man, I know a lot of other bikers that are doing the whole Route 66 strip this summer. Wish I had the time to do it too. Yeah, it would be fun. DPD, my apologies. Happy Pride Month. That's right. I don't know if I have any Pride memes in my little in this Prism app that I use to do the show. There's like a gallery, right? It has stuff that I save, and I would have to scroll real far to see if I have one from years past that might be in here. I probably do. Let me just scroll. Let's see if I got anything. Oh, here's the state of Nevada. It's got the rainbow flag. I'm not sure if it's about Pride Month. What does this say? Well, there's that. Hopefully this still you know, this is so Mickey Mouse. My setup here. Nevada becomes the first state in the nation to protect same-sex marriage in its constitution. That's an old meme, I guess. Hopefully Governor Lombardo didn't I don't know, veto it or whatever. Let's see. I was just scrolling through my library, see if I've got anything that would be Pride Month related. That's so far the closest thing I see. Because I didn't put anything in, you know, ahead of time, like I probably should have. Maybe I'll do that on the next show. I'll have a nice rainbow flag or something. Let's see. There's lots of stuff here. It just sort of builds up this. All the stuff I put in here. Let's see here. something like a cartoon with MAGA. I don't know if I want that cartoon in there. It's so small I can't see what it says. I don't know. I'm just scrolling through my library of stuff here. Let's see. Well, guess that's about it. About all I got. For now. Anyhow, so there's that. Happy Pride Month. IB YouTubing here. Hey, IB YouTubing. Good to see you. Thanks for popping in. Cheryl Kroll. Now I have to listen to Cheryl. I mean, Michelle. Cheryl Crow is not in the driver's lounge. Michelle says now I have to listen to Cheryl Crow. Why? Did we make a Cheryl Crow reference somewhere about leaving Las Vegas or something? I don't know. Everett Tauscher, don't take a wrong turn in Albuquerque. What's up, Doc? I'd be YouTubing. TJ, focus on getting the car and your dream will come true. Paul Burrows, 11:38. Peace out. Wow, so 22, what am I, 23 minutes behind? I'm 23 minutes behind. I'm only 23 little tiny, itty bitty little tiny, little bitty little minutes behind. DPD 5844 says the orange pedophile has now conjured a plan to take all properties and bank accounts of all immigrants who are seeking asylum so the immigrants will be forced back to their countries. Yeah, he's just an awful person, Donald Trump. We've always kind of welcomed asylum seekers. We've always been like the country that says, "Hey, man, you're being oppressed and you're being, victims of threats of violence or wars or whatever. Come here, we take you with open arms. That's what we're supposed to do." Right? Aaron West says, I feel like a truck ran over me. Everything hurts. I did training for a dog walking company on Tuesday, and I was already not feeling good. Oh, man. Well, I hope you get better. DPD's got the advice there. Soak in some Epsom water, bath in Epsom water and salt. DPD always with the remedies there. Yeah, good ones. Abby YouTubing says, and Trump had a friend that he was going to give the contract to. Yeah, like no bid contracts to friends. Yeah, it's just grifting, and it's always something with this guy. It's always something, isn't it, with Trump? I'm YouTubing. There are parts where the wall is not feasible, and parts where they were built. Some were washed away, but the bigots bought it. Yeah, they don't care. All they care about is the wall, the wall, the wall. They're like, they're like the dog who just chases after the ball. Instead of the ball, it's the wall. Anna Moore says to Josh C's, there are time release spikes that you can attach to a water bottle to help with indoor plants. I guess Josh was leaving his plants. And so that was in response to that. Mad Mac 9 says the corrupt regime is still doing absolutely whatever they feel like doing, regardless of our protests. I'm not saying violence, but we need to ramp things up a bit. Look at Delaney Hall, for fuck's sakes. Stop them. Okay, so how do you stop them other than doing what they're doing? They're protesting. There's protesters there. I mean, maybe if we had 10 times the amount of protesters, that might get things done faster. I don't know. Other than protesting and voting, I think are the only things we can do. Protesting and voting, and helping in other ways, like Jolly the Ginger guy was talking about those donations, and if you can't donate to share that link or whatever, But other than that, like you say, you're not talking about violence. So it's protesting and marching and voting and getting information out, sharing information, making sure that the world knows what's going on, that this isn't something that just gets swept under the rug, letting our representatives know that we are not happy with what's going on, letting Mikey Cheryl, whatever the hell her freaking name is, a Democrat, by the way, let her know that we are not happy with the way things are going, that this is not right. These are human rights violations. People are being treated inhumanely. Yeah, we need to be not only protesting in front of Delaney Hall, we need to be protesting in front of the governor's office, the governor's mansion, whatever. The governor's, all the government offices, whatever. But other than that, I don't know what you want. When you say stop them, if it was so easy to stop them, then they would have been stopped. I mean, it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of effort. It's going to take a lot of people to do those things that I mentioned. Mr. Spock, my eyebrows are not sufficient for Mr. Spock. Mr. Spock the Fowler is here. Hey, Mr. Spock. Mr. Spock says, I'm putting on a new cylinder jug and piston on a moped motor. What the fuck is a cylinder jug? I ain't never heard of a cylinder jug. I've heard of cylinders. I've heard of pistons. I've heard of rings. I've heard of lifters. I've heard of rods. I've never heard of a cylinder. Is that a Canadian thing? That must be a Canadian thing. We got cylinder jugs in our vehicles. Mr. Spock says, right on, I forgot I had a new carburetor for the moped. Okay. MJ Daniel from up here in Washington State says that makes a lot of sense for the Nevada economy. I think talking about the putting that in the state constitution, the protection of same-sex marriage. MJ Daniel says that makes a lot of sense for Nevada economy, for the U.S. economy, but their hate and bigotry seems to be more important to Republicans because they can't win on actual like policies. They have to create these emotional, culture war issues. And so the Republican Party working hand in hand with basically white evangelical churches. Although there are probably black churches that are anti-gay too. But working hand in hand with these churches, the Republican Party has made LGBTQ plus a main focal point. It's a hot button issue, and they demonize people in that community, and it overrides things that we really should be focusing on. I mean, I'm not saying don't focus on gay rights. I mean, but gay rights should just be it should be like a no-brainer. It should just be a given that everyone's going to have rights in this country, equal rights, whether you're gay, straight, or anywhere in between. And no matter what your religion, no matter what your color, your ethnicity, whatever, we should all be treated equally. That should be a given. And we shouldn't be spending so much time on that we can't get fucking Medicare for all. That's what this is all about. These culture war things. It's about distracting and also getting people to vote for them on those, based on those culture war issues. Because if you really took the time to find out what Republicans and conservatives, so-called conservatives, what they would be in favor of, you would probably find the majority of them are also okay with Medicare for all, or some sort of national health care system, or okay with Social Security, or okay for Medicare. They're the ones that are saying, keep your government hands off my Medicare. Motherfucker, Medicare is government. Whatever. But so they have to have these distractions, and not that it's trivial, but it should just be a given. This is stuff that should have been fought for and done decades and decades and decades ago. But we have to keep fighting the culture war, because the church gets involved with politics and tells everyone that in their churches that homosexuality is immoral, it's deviant, trans people are demons, or they demonize and just pound it into their heads over and over again, that this is evil and immoral. And so to the point where people that listen to that and get brainwashed by that will just, whenever they think of Democrats or the Democratic Party, that's the immoral party that believes in this immoral sins, So it's all part of this brainwashing. It's all part of the conditioning, that propaganda and everything. So it's just part of the game. That's part of their game. Because if the Republican Party really just ran on the issues that they care about, that they really care about, as far as the politicians and the heads of the party, the only thing they really care about, and I say this probably every show, the only thing they really care about is lowering or getting rid of taxes for rich people and stripping away as many regulations as they can in terms of workplace regulations, industry regulations, environmental regulations, stripping away regulations, even capitalist regulations, getting rid of all that, getting rid of taxes. That's really what the party is there for. And that's really what they're all about. But they can't just run on that, because so many people will go, well, I don't think that's right. Even Republicans that we, would, Republican voters, if that's all they ran on, then most people will go, well, no. Rich people should pay their fair share in taxes, and we should have some regulations. But they can't run on that. So they have to build up all this shit, all this anti-gay shit, and all this anti-women shit, all this going against people of color, all this racism, all this shit. And they have to do it. They use the church to do it in great part. And they use outlets like Fox News and all this right-wing media to just infiltrate and overpower, markets, media markets, day and night, every day of the year with these propaganda messages. That's what we're up against. Anna Moore says, I bet those MAGA farmers don't want the wall, but those MAGA farmers will vote for Trump. And I don't think they even think that far. They just think, because they don't want no Democrats because Democrats are soft on crime or whatever. I don't know. They believe in open borders. That's the thing you always hear too. The Democrats are for open borders. No one's for open borders, whatever that means. To me, when they say that, okay, I take that to mean that they think Democrats just want there to be like no border patrol, no surveillance, just come on in. And we've never had that, or at least not in the last 100 years. Or whatever. We've had border patrol, we've had ports of entry and all that kind of shit. We've had patrols, we've had, laws and everything about that. So we don't believe in open borders, but we don't think a wall is necessary or cost effective. And there are much better ways, cost effective ways, modern 21st century ways that we can handle border crossings. And a wall is ridiculous. So whenever a Democrat is running for office, and if there's a debate or there's a question that comes up about the border, every Democrat should say, I am for border security. Absolutely, 100%. I'm 100% for border security. End of story. Period. End of story. I am for border security. And then if they press and ask more questions, like, what about the wall? Well, no, the wall is stupid. Then that's when you go, no. I believe in 21st century ways of handling this. So don't shy away from it. We are all for border security. We're not for open borders. We just think that a wall is really stupid and ineffective. And then the wall that they ended up building, it was not a Great Wall of China wall. It was these metal slats that you could take a circular saw to and cut out a nice little hole in like 2 seconds. And you showed videos. There's videos of people where they were just climbing over the wall and they were digging under the wall, like Wes Webb was saying, building tunnels and shit. But we're not for open borders. We are for border security. Border for our security for our southern border, security along the northern border, security at our ports, security in our airspace. We are all for all the security that there can be. Let's not have any doubt about that. DPD says, can you imagine all the hate coming from the Nazis considering Pride Month, considering all of them are pedophile protectors, or swinging their bats at each other? Hypocrisy, the hypocrisy in the right wing and from Republicans, there's no shortage of hypocrisy, IB YouTubing says, before that started to happen, I feared that could happen to me and my daughter because we are brown, born in Texas. No one should be subjected to ICE harassment. Yeah. ICE is just operating lawlessly, just yanking people out of their cars without warrants, without any procedural stuff, no due process. It's just, that needs to stop. Mr. Spock is stoned. DPD says, whatever happens, I don't believe it will end peacefully. IB YouTubing says, even documented workers contribute to Social Security, even though they cannot draw from it. They contribute to the fund for retirees and those on disability. Yeah, they do. They sure do. Uh-oh, Jolie just stubbed her pinky toe. That sucks. I'm pretty sure I broke my pinky toe one time. I never went to the doctor for it. But this is way back. I was in my, I think, early 20s, like maybe like 20 or 21. I'm trying to remember where I was at. Something like that. I don't know. And I was in the living room, and it was like there was a couch. There was like a kitchen and dining room, and then kind of like it went into the living room, and I think there was a couch just sort of in the middle, like, or whatever, and then the TV was on the other side. And I remember I would be in the kitchen or something, and then I would just kind of run and kind of like hurdle myself over the couch and just jump on the couch just because, you're 20 and you can do that kind of shit or whatever. And then one time I think my little pinky got hung up on the couch or something when I jumped on it, when I hurdled it. And it just, I don't know, it just tweaked that little pinky toe. Oh my God, it was so painful. Who would know? Who would think that such a little phalange, I don't know, would hurt so much? And I remember I sort of I think I popped it back in place. It turned all purple, like dark purple, and my little pinky a pinky toe was like bigger than my thumb probably. It swelled up, and it was like that. But I remember just writhing in pain. I think I iced it, but I never went to the doctor, and it just hurt like hell for weeks and weeks and weeks. Eventually, the pain was less and less, and the swelling was a little less, but it was always kind of swollen and kind of discolored for I want to say like a year or something. I'm pretty sure I broke it. I don't know. Or dislocated it or something. Probably dislocated it. And so that's my pinky story. My pinky toe story. Mr. Spock says it's a motorcycle thing, TJ. Okay. It's not a Canadian thing. It's a motorcycle thing. I haven't worked on too many motorcycles. David Weiss from Denver says, I used to buy used Japanese bikes in the late 70s. I know what cylinder jugs are. Okay. All right then. Mr. Spock, Japanese bikes, Pavlovian response. 70s Japanese bikes. I don't know what that means either. Mad Mac says, I haven't seen the intro yet, but I saw Jolly in a really frustrated video where he said he didn't care what people say. Things are past the protest stage. For doing something, we need direction. Well, he's out there protesting, though. He says that as he's out there protesting. So I don't know what you want. Short of violence, you say short of, I don't, what else is there besides protesting and contacting your representatives and helping get the story out, helping to share things, and then voting? Other than that, short of violence, what is there? Jolie says, what gets me, it's actually so simple. Everyone needs to mind their own business. Why can't people just live their lives and leave others to live theirs? Yeah, especially when it comes to things like abortion and religion or whatever. Everyone should be like, yeah, like, of course, how many times have we said, if you don't want an abortion, don't get one. But don't force another person to live under your rules or whatever. But no, that's not good enough. And it's because then they started saying, well, it's that abortion is murder. It's not just a choice. It's not just, a woman making a choice. It's actually murder, which is bullshit. It's not murder. It's not murder. Terminating a pregnancy is not murder. But they take it there. So then once they are there with that belief, then what are they going to do? Then they have, because you wouldn't be in favor of murder, right? No one's in favor of murder. So of course now they have to impose their views on other people because they believe that abortion is murder, but it's not. It's not murder. A fetus, a zygote, a clump of cells is not a human being. So it's not murder. Anna Moore says, I really believe this deranged man in the White House wants to start a civil war. If he keeps taking away our freedom, people will eventually respond. I think, that certainly is the fear, and that, and people were saying with the whole $1.776 billion slush fund that he was going to try to use that to like create this army of J6ers and like-minded people. But I think that slush fund is being shut down. So there's that. Mad Max says, that's why I keep egging people on, but thankfully people have kept their cool, even to the detriment of those people losing their lives to the fascist pigs. Well, as tempting as it might seem at times, like, we really don't want this to escalate into like a shooting war or whatever. IB YouTubing says Trump ran and won on fear. Yeah, it's all fear-based. If he wanted the wall built, why hasn't he built it or continued with it? Trump killed the immigration bill that Oklahoma Senator Langford came up with and bipartisan agreement. Yep, that's what I was mentioning earlier. He wasn't even president, and he killed that bill. Mad Max says he definitely wants that. They are bloodthirsty and insane with power, as their behavior demonstrates with the Iran war. Trump doesn't want to leave office because he knows when he leaves office, he's probably going to go to jail. So he's going to try to do whatever he can to disrupt the 2028 elections. That's the play. That's the play here. Disrupt things so much that he thinks the elections will get canceled. Whether or not he's able to pull that off, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I don't know. MJ Daniel says hate, fear, and greed and bigotry are the only issues the GOP runs on now. Yeah, they have to, because if they just said, okay, if they just ran on what they really do and what they really exist for, could you imagine Republicans in whatever office that they're running for? They're just like, yeah, we're going to bring down taxes for billionaires, and multimillionaires, and billion-dollar companies. They're not going to pay any taxes. Yeah, vote for me, and we're going to get rid of those pesky regulations. We're going to get rid of the USDA. We're going to get rid of the EPA. And by the way, we're going to eliminate minimum wage. Vote for me. I don't think they would win very many elections if they just campaigned on the things that they really are about. So they have to stoke that fear. They have to create these enemies. They have to make demons and enemies out of gay people and people of color and immigrants. So it's all fear-based. Otherwise, they would never get elected for anything if they just ran on what they really are about. Vote for me. We're going to get taxes down for those poor little billionaires. And by the way, you all you working folks, we're going to raise your taxes. Oh yeah. Hell yeah. So they have to create this fear and then blast it to them 24/7, 365, I'd be YouTubing. Alex Preddy was murdered. Where is the outrage? I don't know. I think people are pretty outraged about that. Big Hook, the Big Canuck is here. Big Hook says torture of immigrants to coerce them into signing self-deport papers is a war crime, in my opinion. It certainly is a crime. I mean, coercion doesn't hold up in court. If you're coerced into some sort of statement or confession or anything like that, that's not supposed to hold up in court. Big Hook, Big at 12:26. I'm only 4 minutes. I'm only 4 minutes behind. I'm only 4 little tiny, itty bitty little tiny little bitty. Where's Nick Rich, by the way? He doesn't like me anymore. I don't think Nick Rich likes me anymore. Doesn't come by anymore. MJ Daniels says some need to beat others down to feel important, and some are just sociopaths. Mad Mac, I don't have the answers. I'm asking for opinions as well as putting things out there for people to help with the answers. One thing I do know, and it's one thing I know, Trucker John Livestream is the best show you ever seen. Oh. No, one thing I do know, it isn't black or white. Now I'm thinking of Michael Jackson. Woo-hoo! What was that song? The Michael Jackson song? About black and white? Their violence versus our protest. We want to keep it peaceful. We want to keep it peaceful. And we need to protest. We need to march. We need to write our Congress people. We need to share all this on social media. And we need to vote. Make sure we vote. Make sure that we overwhelm them. Vote in numbers too big to manipulate. Vote in numbers too big to manipulate. I'm going to operate on the assumption that we are going to be able to vote. Make sure you can vote. Paul Burrows, immigrants fighting with immigrants on stolen land. I know Paul Burrows is a Native American and has a whole different perspective than I, an old white guy, have. And I was thinking about that. But I was thinking about you, Paul, because I know you've made that sentiment known about stolen land, and what the at first were colonists, mainly coming from England, but also from other places in Europe. The Europeans coming to the eastern shores of North America and encroaching on the land there, and then westward expansion, of course, and then once we became the United States of America, it was American Western expansion for the most part. A lot of Spanish. Spain owned a lot of land before it became Mexico. All that kind of stuff. The French up in the French Canadian section. All of this encroachment and taking of the land, and sometimes I, as an old white guy, sometimes I don't see it the way you see it, or I don't know if I get offended or whatever, but I was thinking about that. And I was thinking, maybe Paul is right. Maybe we should give all the land back to the natives and let them run things. They can put us on reservations and let them run things. I think we'd be a lot better off than letting the Donald Trumps of the world run this place and letting the oligarchs run this place. So maybe I'm all for it, man. Let's let the Indians have it all back and let them run the fucking place. I think the Indians would do a hell of a lot better than than Donald goddamn Trump and these goddamn oligarchs. So I can't argue with you, Paul Burrows. Big Hook says the problem is that SCOTUS gave Trump more powers than he was allowed, and the process to remove the president next to impossible with complicit Republicans who want authoritarian rule. New laws needed. He can still be impeached. They didn't take away the powers of impeachment. He can still be impeached and removed. Anna Moore, speaking of billionaires, says, "Don't support billionaire businesses." Is my motto. David Windler says, "It ain't about wrong or right. It's about black and white." Oh, that's the Michael Jackson one. Yeah. Yeah. Mad Max says, the other thing the Orange Pedo wants is to stop the midterms because of the war with Iran. If they physically stop the vote, he keeps doing everything he wants to do, regardless of any laws. He may want that. I want a gold-plated toilet, but that ain't happening either. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. By the way, I'm wearing my Los Angeles County hat. I guess in honor of the elections they just had. I don't know. Big Hook said Republicans have revealed themselves as racist bigots. Hopefully Mike. Okay, Mike is still on. Big Hook said Republicans have revealed. Is this thing on? Big Hook says Republicans have revealed themselves as racist bigots with a right Christian nationalist agenda and a return to laws of old, where Americans were divided enough to allow lynchings occurring everywhere. Yeah, I can't disagree with that. It's racist whether they know they're racist or not. Even if you don't know you're a racist, you can still be a racist. Jolie says, "Be right back." All right. Josh sees, wasn't the Constitution heavily influenced by the Native American tribal systems? I believe they give credit to some of the, was it Chief Joseph or something? Of the Mohican tribe or something, maybe? That had, that did have like almost like a Bill of Rights, Constitution type of a thing. It wasn't every, there's thousands of Indian tribes. So, I mean, but there was these sort of like northeastern tribe that people attribute getting some ideas from that or something like that. Apparently, Thomas Jefferson. Who are the main authors? Thomas Jefferson and Madison? Holly Madison? No. Madison, somebody? James Madison? Jimmy Madison? And Tommy Jefferson? So I don't know. Were they hanging out with the tribes? Maybe. I don't know. Paul Burrow says, I'm not here to offend anyone. I will defend the weak. I will feed the poor. And I will defend my family to the death. I don't blame you there. And I'm not saying you offended anyone. I'm just saying, you make me think, because I don't think from the perspective of a Native American. I just think of this perspective of an old white guy. And a lot of times, even though I'm well aware of the land, the Native Americans were here first, and they had lived on this continent for, I don't know, centuries or millennia or whatever. And I'm aware of all that. I'm aware of how we encroached on it, and we pushed people off their lands, and we fought and slaughtered, who knows how many, and moved people from where they normally were and put them on some godforsaken reservation. I'm aware of all that, but I still forget about it. I don't, I don't really think from that point of view. So I appreciate you sort of offering your point of view. It's valuable to have, and you're welcome to be here and to share your perspective. So I'm not offended by it. Mad Max says, did you get a chance to look into the insane Marks running for governor in Colorado? I did not. Not that I didn't have time. I could have, but I completely forgot. Because I remember on the last show you brought him up, and I said I have to find out more about it, and I didn't. I am guilty of not doing that. Aaron West says, Trucker John has... thank you for the reminder. We got the channel memberships starting at $1.99 a month. And that does help the show. I think we've got about 50 or so members. We could use another 50. We got the channel memberships starting off at $1.99 a month. We have super chats, super stickers, and buy me a coffee. There's the links down there, and we got the PayPal. So thanks for that reminder. By the way, let's see. I was going to put up just a reminder about where we're at. I think we are at around 4480 subscribers. Well, there's 4477. It does fluctuate, but we're around 4480 to get that 5K Hennessy day. So whatever you guys can do to help me help you, or you help me to get more subscribers. I would really love to. I would really love to have 100,000 subscribers. I really would. They give you this really kick-ass plaque. But we're at 4470. We're a long way away. I'm just trying to get to 5,000 for right now. So whatever you guys can do to help. Like, subscribe, hype. Hit that hype button, share button. make comments, and whenever you see a Trucker John video, just go in there, and you could say nonsense as long as it's like 8 words or more. You could just go. You could just say "Hallelujah, pass the ammo," or I don't know. How many words was that? You could even say let's build the wall because it would look cool. I don't agree with that. I'm just being silly. I'm just saying, but you can comment about it, whatever, but leave a comment. Comment, not a comment. You can just say, "Hey, Trucker John, how's it going, man? How's it swinging?" Or something. I don't know. David Willer says it was Iroquois. Okay, the Iroquois, not the Mohicans. I was thinking Last of the Mohicans. I just pulled that out of my ass. The Iroquois. Was it Chief Joseph? Wasn't Chief Joseph the guy, the man, the legend? Big Hook, Mad Mac. I left the video in his Discord. I will check it out. Big Hook. Big Hook. I will check it out. I'm sorry, I didn't. I don't think I saw that. I will definitely check it out. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for leaving that in Discord. Now, we have Discord. I don't know if we can put the link for Discord, but I do have Discord. I've got a driver's lounge. I've got a channel in there, clips and highlights channel, and a channel for the 5K Hennessy Day. So just know that if you go in there, there are different channels. But I will check that out, Big Hook. Josh C says, wasn't it 7 nations or something? I think so. Wasn't it 7 nations or something that were kind of like states that all worked together for the common good? I think something like that. And it was one of the rare instances, I think, where the Native Americans really like worked together and joined together, and they had a long period of kind of like not getting fucked with, I guess. Just think of if all the tribes across the whole continent had been able to somehow join up. This would be the United States of Indians. At least anything east of the Appalachia Mountains or something. It would all be United States of Indians. But woulda, coulda, shoulda, I mean, come on, Hindsight's 20/20, right? Paul Burrows says the Nez Perce tribe is the tribe at the end of the Oregon Trail. That was run out of the Wallowa Valley, Oregon, my grandfather's country. Lots of, in the name of Western expansion, in the name of, what was it called? You guys know what I'm talking about. What was it called? I don't know. But anyhow, our country did a lot of horrible things, I think. I mean, you can't deny it. Mad Max says, I didn't know we could watch TJ live through his Discord, though. That's pretty cool. Oh, well, are you? Is it live on there? I mean, I have a link. I post the link to this show, but doesn't that just take you to YouTube? Anyhow, I don't know. IBU Timmy says, TJ, the Envy Medicaid application is online. I did that, IBU Timmy. Just Google Nevada Medicaid application and make sure it's from DHS source. That's one of the things I did last night. I filled it out last night. I couldn't sleep. I was having some sort of, I don't know, stomach issue or something. And I wasn't really feeling very well. That's another reason why I didn't go to work. I took last night off because I was just really tired and I just felt like taking the night off. So I took last night off, but I ended up being where I kind of didn't feel good and I couldn't sleep. So I did go online and I filled out that application to get my Medicaid, my Medicare paid, I guess, through the Medicaid program. And it's called a QMB and all that stuff. So yeah, I filled that out last night. Hopefully they'll get back to me. I guess they have to get back to me and do what will probably be an over-the-phone interview type of a deal. They just want to know, I guess, if you qualify financially, even though that was on the application, your financials and stuff. But you have to go through this phone call, and then hopefully they will pay for my Medicare, that $200 Medicare that's taken out of my Social Security. And but that might take. I think they said once they approve it, and hopefully so that them getting back to me will probably happen in the next week or maybe 2, I guess. I don't know. And then after that, they have 45 days, I guess, to approve it or not. So this might take another, who knows, another couple months. But at least I'm getting the ball rolling on that. So yeah, thanks for you guys' reminders of that. Paul Bruce says Chief Joseph is my chief. Oh, okay. But he was one of the famous ones, right? MJ Daniel, that was part of the country. My hometown, Walla Walla, was the Chief Joseph area. We live close to Nisqually tribe now. Yeah, okay. So, and Chief Joseph, I think, was very famous for being a great leader and all that kind of stuff. Big Hook, I think the danger is that Trump has used the supposed independent government agencies to be weaponized against his opposition, as well as the citizenry. Independence was supposed to happen, but no, F us. Is that the reading? Is that the reading I'm supposed to? He is weaponized. Trump is weaponizing everything. Yeah, he's and again, the projection, it's all of Trump, accusing like the Bidens of or the Biden administration of using lawfare and using the DOJ to come after him or whatever. That's all projection because that's all that he does. Not that I'm for a president using government. I'm not for him going after his own enemies or whatever, but I wish that our DOJ would have gone after Trump more fervently with some sense of urgency, Merrick Garland. But it was all projection because that's what Trump is doing. Trump is weaponizing every department he can to go after his perceived enemies, to get, I guess, revenge and retribution and all that horseshit, and to do whatever it's going to take to keep him out of prison. MJ Daniel says, "I Will Fight No More Forever" is a 1975 made-for-TV television or made-for-television Western. I recall that. I may have watched that. I recall that. I just don't remember, but I recall that title anyhow. Big Hook, Mad Mac. It's in the driver's lounge section. I left a comment of this is the psychopath. I will check that out, Big Hook. I will do. Thanks for putting that in there. I'll check it out. Mad Max says, yeah, it's live. Trucker John number 66. Just click on the play button and it plays what I'm watching on YouTube on my other monitor. Pretty cool. I didn't even know that. I post the links in there, so that is cool. I did not know that. MJ Daniel says, DJT claimed to be against using the government to attack others. He claimed to be for peace. He is the total opposite, and the cult of morons could not care less. Yeah, every single thing he campaigned on, he's done the exact opposite. he was going to lower prices on day one. I mean, he was not going to go to war. He was not going to go to any more wars. He's not going to do anything. All this stuff. He's done the exact fucking opposite of almost everything he said. Gotta make sure my mic's still on. Okay. And we're going almost 2.5 hours, and this mic is still on. I'm pretty impressed. I'm impressed with you, Chopstick Mike. Hello. Hi everybody. I'm Chopstick Mike. Okay, enough of that. Big Hook says Dims play by the rules. Dims the rules. While Republicans say fuck the rules and let's cheat and steal because we are never held accountable except by electorate when they lose everything they used to have. Paul Burrows says, "Hear me, my chief. My heart is sick and sad from where the sun now stands. I will fight no more forever." Chief Joseph. Yeah, I remember reading about Chief Joseph, I think in grade school. We used to actually, I was in grade school in the 60s in California, and we used to actually have, history. And they would actually, I remember actually learning, about slavery and about the Indian wars that we had with Indians. They called it the Indian Wars or whatever, right? I do remember reading about Chief Joseph in elementary school. I don't think they even teach that kind of stuff anymore. Paul Burrows, peace out. Thank you, Paul, for being here, man. I appreciate you. I hope you feel better soon. I know you're going through a tough time. Just know every day you get stronger and better. All right, you're gonna get stronger and better every day. So hang in there, man. We'll see you on the next one. I am gonna wrap things up here pretty quick, pretty soon. We're getting kind of late here, and I am gonna go to work today, so gonna get to work. But thanks for being here, guys. So today is Thursday. It is 105 degrees outside, by the way. We haven't even reached the high. It's supposed to be 108 is the high. We usually don't get our high. Like it's almost 1. We usually don't get our high temperature until like 3 or 4 in the afternoon. That's like that's kind of weird. Like a lot of places, the high of the day will be at like at noon or 1 o'clock. For us, it's a little bit later. But anyhow, IBTV says DJT just wanted to stay out of jail. That's why he ran. It's not about government. Yeah, exactly. That's why after he lost the 2020 election, he never stopped. He filed. I believe he filed to run for the 2024 election, like the day after the fucking 2020 election, and he just never stopped. He never got out of campaign mode because, for one thing, he could say you can't indict me. I'm running for president, even though it was still like 4 years away for the next one. It's really absurd. It really is absurd, Aaron says, I got to head out too. I have an appointment. Have a good one. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Big Hook says reformation is necessary of the whole system. I think Raskin needs to be on top of this and start writing all the norms into law. With enforcement, the current system has so many gaping holes to fix. There are lots of loopholes. MJ Daniel says, National Park site I worked for a while was the site where Marcus Whitman and group were killed by the local tribe when they started dying of chickenpox. Wow. Mad Max says lazy ass chicken shit Garland is to blame. Yeah, and I did mention that. I said that. Big Hook says good luck in your job search, Aaron. MJ Daniel says Garland was Biden's biggest mistake. I think that might be true. I'm not going to argue with that because I'm no fan of Merrick Garland. I really am not, and he pisses me off just thinking about him. But I think that might be his biggest mistake, and I think how Biden handled Netanyahu and Gaza. It was just too old school, like because we've been and I think rightfully so. We've been big allies and sort of protectors of Israel ever since its inception, right after World War II in the late 40s or whatever. And I don't have a problem with that, but I do have a problem with us aiding in genocide. I mean, talking about genocide, we're talking about the Native Americans and what we did there. Did we not learn a lesson from that and how awful that is? Did we not learn a lesson from the Holocaust and how awful that is? And now you have Israel, ironically, committing this genocide on the Palestinian people in Gaza. So I think that was a huge bungling. If nothing else, even if Congress wouldn't approve it or whatever, I think Joe Biden should have came out strongly and said that he was against supplying bombs and weapons and money to Israel, even if Congress didn't go along with it or whatever. I mean, they dropped the ball, and no matter what, I know supposedly Anthony Blinken and the negotiating team were back there negotiating, trying to negotiate with Israel to have them stop killing so many civilians and all that kind of stuff. But no matter how hard they were working, they weren't getting the message out, and they weren't making any progress because we kept seeing these horrible things happen. And the body counts just kept going up and up and up and up and up. So yeah, I think Merrick Garland and Gaza were probably the handling of Gaza were probably the two worst things, the worst things of the Biden administration. And those aren't trivial things either. I mean, we're talking about, especially with Gaza, we are talking about tens of thousands or more. I don't even know the number of innocent people being slaughtered, and hundreds of thousands of more being displaced. Big Hook says, remember that Garland was partisan compromise for Gorsuch. Yeah, I remember that. Jolie's back. Hello, Jolie. One leaves and another one comes back. Yeah, Aaron just left, and now Jolie's back. Thanks for coming on in. And I'm going to be wrapping things up here in a minute. David Windler, Biden, hug Bibi. I remember, that's because I remember Joe Biden talking, glowingly of Bibi Netanyahu when he was vice president, and I think even before that, when he was just a senator. He's always had this thing for Netanyahu, and he's always called him Bibi. And even back, I'm talking 20, 30 years ago, he's always had this thing and saying such nice things about Bibi Netanyahu and I always just took that as a sort of a like a diplomatic kind of thing, like diplomacy. It's sort of like it's like an ass kissing technique. That's kind of what diplomacy is. It's a fancy political term that means it's sort of like ass kissing. So I just saw that. That's how I took it as being this ass kissing thing. And maybe he liked the guy in real life. I don't know, but I just remember this is not a new thing. So then then when he was president, since he's been so buddy and chummy with him for decades, then I guess he felt very comfortable about hugging the guy, and and maybe he thought that that's what he needed to do in order to negotiate He had to kiss his ass, butter him up, or something. And apparently it didn't work. The only thing that may have worked is if we just totally cut them off. There's that thing about, tough love. Maybe Joe Biden needed to, enact some tough love against Israel and say, look, this is it. We're cutting you off. Now, again, it would have to get, I think, congressional approval, and I don't know if he would have that approval or not, but at least, the bully pulpit can be very influential. And if nothing else, you can at least divorce yourself or separate yourself from whatever the majority in Congress is doing. If they're not willing to cut off Israel, at least he can say, hey, look, I tried. I'm out here telling you, we need to cut these guys off because what they're doing right now is horrible. And my fear of that was always like, if we did that, then every fucking country in the Middle East is going to just pounce on Israel. But I don't think so, because we could still say, hey, look, we're not sending you guys any more weapons until you figure this thing out. And you can say, hey, look, I'm all for a two-state solution. We need to start working on that. And you need to stop this wholesale slaughter of civilians that's going on. We're not sending you a dime until you do that. But just know that if any country starts attacking Israel, then you're going to be answering to us too. We're still going to have their back. I mean, there's some way. I think there's some way you could do that. I think you could do both. You could cut Israel off, at least in the short term, and say, hey, look, you got to stop that. You got to stop this killing, and we need to do this. We need to come to a solution, a diplomatic solution, a political solution, whatever, and instead of just wiping everybody out. But also let the rest of the Middle East know that we're still there. So don't, or whatever. I don't know. I'm sure there are ways of doing that. Big Hook says Jack Smith for AG and the job of cleaning house and former commissions of accountability of the Republican sycophants who have driven the country into ruin. Yeah, I think Jack Smith would be good. Hopefully, I just I'm a little leery of getting all excited about someone. I guess I've been burnt too much. Merrick Garland burnt me. Robert Mueller, may he rest in peace, I think kind of burnt me. I mean, he did a good job. The Mueller report lays it all out, but it just it was one of those things that it seemed like it just took forever. And then the way he announced it, the way he spoke to me was so boring. I couldn't even listen to him. You know what I mean? I don't know, but. So yeah, Jack Smith would, but I'm not going to be like, hey, if Jack Smith was in there, that'd be the answer to all our prayers, and everyone's going to all these motherfuckers that need to go to prison are going to go to prison. I'm at the point in my life here where I'll believe it when I see it. I'm not going to hold my breath on Jack Smith going in and cleaning house. But as a choice for AG, I think he's a good choice. I think, and hopefully he doesn't turn out to be a fucking, Merrick Garland or some shit. Because it seems like they change, man. Once they get in, you're like, all right, we got the guy, and then they don't do anything. It's very disheartening. I think we've gone through a decade of shit with Trump. I think we're kind of worn down, and I think a lot of us, maybe myself included, have become cynical and jaded, and that's not really a good place to be, it really isn't. So I don't get too excited about yeah, let's get Jack Smith. Yeah, I think he's good, but I'm not holding my breath, man, and I'm not getting my hopes up. I guess let's just do one thing at a time. Let's see if we can get to the midterms. Let's see if we have midterms. And let's vote in numbers too big to manipulate, like I've got there listed there. And let's start there and see how that goes. I guess we're way off. We're way, way, way off from a Jack Smith being anywhere near the AG office. We're years away still. We're still over 2 years away, 2.5 years away, at least, right? For 2029, when the new administration, whomever that may be, takes office in January of 2029, we're 2.5 years away, I think, if my math is right. It's 2026, so you got 27, 28, and we're halfway through the year now, so yeah, 2.5 years. We're 2.5 years away from even the possibility of Jack Smith. So let's concentrate on November. And I don't mean to, dismiss your comment, because this is where we come to comment. We're having conversation. We're having a conversation. I don't mean to try to shut down what you said or whatever, because that's not what I mean. But I am just trying to bring us back to the importance of I guess let's not get too far out there. Let's concentrate on November. Let's, like you say, was it you, Big Hook, or someone that Trump is probably trying to cancel the midterms. So let's just see if we can get that. They're doing everything they can to fuck up the primaries, but so we'll see. But we gotta, I don't want to be too negative. I believe we're going to be able to vote, and let's just make sure we're registered to vote, and we get out there and vote in the midterms in November 3rd, my cousin's birthday, cousin Dan's birthday, my MAGA cousin, who's exactly 1 month younger than I am. It's on his birthday this year for the voting day. And I hereby declare that the national voting day, whether it's the midterm or the presidential election, I'm declaring that to be a holiday. Trudger John hereby declares that a holiday. Okay? So get out there and vote. I'm not going to pay you anything, but I'm not going to give you vacation pay or whatever, or holiday pay. But let's just get out there and vote. November 3rd. I don't know who Faithful Jammy is, and I don't know what GAC means. But thanks for being here. Hope you like, subscribe, and share. That'd be great. I've been threatening to end the show for a half an hour now, but I keep going on because you guys keep putting in great comments, and then I respond to them. So, Mad Max says, "What kind of non-man blames other people for everything he does? I'm so damn sick and tired of hearing the orange felon pedo blaming Biden or even Obama for everything." And of course, Maggot's parrot. Yeah, because Trump is just a chicken shit little pussy ass bitch. You're right. He's a non-man. He's a chicken shit pussy ass bitch. That's what Donald Trump is. He can't take responsibility for anything. Everything is everyone else's fault, just like you said. Everything is Biden's fault. Everything's Obama's fault. It's just, whatever happened to the buck stops here? Who was that? Truman or Eisenhower or Nixon? No, it wasn't Nixon. But who was that? The buck stops here. Whatever happened to having a president like that? And it was probably a Republican president. That's when Republicans were decent, I think. Some of them were. MJ Daniels, stop treating Israel like the 51st state. You mean with the funding, like with all the money we give them? Maybe it's time. Maybe they're like I've used the analogy before of having a kid, and then there's a time for them to go off on their own. Maybe it's time for Israel to go off on their own, and then just like with your kids, you'll even though if they go off on their own and they're getting married and getting their houses, you still love your kids, and you're still gonna be there to support them the best you can if they need help, and even if you can't help them out financially, you can help them out, with moral support, and you can help them out whatever way you can. But still, there's a time to push them out, let them be adults and live their own life. Maybe that's what we need to do with Israel. It's time to, okay, you guys go on out. We're not going to support you anymore, but we're there. If someone tries to bully you or pick on you or whatever, we'll be there to help you out there. Big Hook says Eileen Cannon needs to be impeached as well. Her actions to allow Trump to slide on consequences of stealing national secrets is treasonous. Worst of all, he will steal all secrets and flee elsewhere. Eileen Cannon is going to be a future SCOTUS. Are you kidding me? If Trump has his way, I would not doubt if Eileen Cannon was going to be one of his. It would be a pick for SCOTUS. Saiful Jamil says to be seen in Russia. What does that mean? To be seen in Russia, in Mother Russia. Big. How do we clean house then, TJ? I'm just saying, no, I wasn't really disagreeing, I guess, about Jack Smith. I'm just saying I'm not going to get my hopes up. Like I said, I will believe it when I see it. And I said, I think Jack Smith would be a good pick, but I'm just not going to get all super excited right now, especially since we're 2.5 years away from there being any, at least 2.5 years away from there being any new AG from, whatever. So, or from Jack Smith. No Republican is going to appoint him. So I'm just saying I'm not going to get all my hopes all up, and I want to concentrate on November. IB YouTube says Robert Mueller was a Republican and did not take on Bill Barr after Barr lied about results. Yeah, that was the thing. Bill Barr totally misrepresented that in that press conference. Totally just out and out lied. Just said the opposite of what the Mueller report said. And yeah, no pushback from Mueller. He could have had another press conference and said, no, that's not what I said. In fact, I said just the opposite. But he didn't. So, yeah. WW says nobody is canceling the midterms. They are just preparing the offensive after they lose. Is John Glad here? Did I miss? There's John Glad. Always glad to see John Glad. Thanks for being here. Says just came over from Black Bear News. Yeehaw! DPD says the law viewed it as a he said, she said, whatever the fuck that means. The Nazis allowed him back onto committees. Now the motherfucker is running for Ohio State Senate. I must have skipped something because I have no idea who you're talking about. Oh, I did skip you, DPD. Somehow I skipped that. DPD says here in Ohio we have an asshole named Representative Rodney Creech, who charged with raping his daughter. He would come into her room, climb in her bed, wearing women's underwear. I don't know what TBC means. To underwear. I don't know what TBC. But yeah, not good. Not good. Not good. Yeah. Okay. So that guy's an asshole. That guy's a gross piece of shit, and he's running for Ohio State Senate, for the state Senate. I hope he loses, and I hope he goes. He should be a candidate for prison. He should be doing many, many, many years, if not the rest of his life, in prison. That's where that motherfucker belongs. Mad Max says many times voting is on my birthday, 7 November. The first Tuesday of the month, right? We should make a holiday where the first Tuesday of just make it every year. We don't have to do every other year. Just make it every year. The first Tuesday of every November is National Voting Holiday Day. Because even if there's not a primary or a presidential election going on, a lot of places I think still have local elections and stuff on that on that day, maybe. Big Hook says the Republicans say we are violent without evidence, and our peaceful protests are determined to be acts of treason by those committing crimes. Accountability has never been imposed. Republicans are evil. Mr. Spock, what I miss? John, glad the buck is king. Yeah, who said? Oh, Truman. So the buck stops here. Harry Truman. Harry S. Truman, I believe. From, I think, Kansas, right? Was he a Democrat? I think. Was Truman a Democrat? I think. Right? So, DVD says no King's protest June 14th. All right. Let's be on the lookout for that. June 14th. Big Hook projection is Republicans' only answer. They are unwilling to come to any compromise since Newt Gingrich. I hate when Dems refer to the Republicans as the honor roll because they certainly aren't. Again, that's sort of the diplomacy type stuff, decorum, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, Anna Moore says, looks like he's trying to start rumors that primaries are being rigged by the Democratic Party. The man is despicable. He'll just always say that. He's just always going to say that. Unless he wins, unless I win, then it's not rigged. Anna Moore says, he's a dry asshole, not a... TJ, TBC, to be continued. Okay. They were a Democrat. Truman was a Democrat. See there? Thank God I was a Democrat. Because, I could see Eisenhower saying that. And he was a Republican. Big Hook says, outside of Republicans in Nixon's administration, nobody amongst the Republican flock have had to pay criminal consequences outside of removing George Santos because of theft from Republicans. David Weiss, I'll be posting on Discord with Saturn info soon. Discord is fun. Thank you, David Weiss. I'm looking forward to hearing more on that. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. I'll be YouTubing. Truman was Democrat. Yeah, like, subscribe, and share, says W. DVD, would anyone in chat be willing to have another baby? Why, are you offering? Anyhow. Who's asking about having a baby? Hey, I can make little cookie babies. Anybody want a little cookie baby? I'm game. Make little adorable little cookie babies. Huh? Think about it. Think about it. Old tough cookie. Old baby maker. I'm just saying. Everybody's out there. Interested in making little cookie babies. I'm your man. Or I should say I'm your cookie. I'll be your cookie. I gotta go whip up some batter. Oh, tough cookies, settle down. Relax. No one wants your cookie batter. Tough cookie. All right? Just Simmer down. Simmer down. All right. God, that got Tough Cookie all worked up. I don't know why. Maybe it's been a while for Tough Cookie. I don't know. Just simmer down, Tough Cookie. Simmer down. Anyhow, yeah. Anyhow, I know we got to end the show. I think Chopstick Mike is about to go out, so just want to say a quick goodbye and thank everyone for being here today. You guys are awesome. Thanks for being here. I'll see you again on Saturday. We'll be here Saturday right after House Sparks, 11 a.m. Pacific time. Okay. Thanks for being here. I just want to say hi, but we got to go. Yeah, we got to go. Bye. All right, those two clowns. There's those two clowns. All right, guys, thanks for being here. Yeah, we need to end the show, and I'll see you guys on Thursday right after House Sparks, as Paul the Purple Beard guy said. We'll see you then. Thanks for everything. We got 1 out of 5 on the goals. It is what it is. But I do appreciate you. Yippee going out to DPD for that $50 super chat. Thank you so much. I do appreciate you. And we'll see you again on Saturday right here, 11 a.m. Pacific time. And I guess that's it for now. Everyone have a great rest of your day. I'll see you around in the chats, in the various chat rooms, and around the internets and all that good stuff. And I guess that's it for now. Oh, don't forget the words of wisdom. We got to do the words of wisdom. Let's not forget the words of wisdom. Where am I not seeing the thing? I'm supposed to push the thing. I don't know where it went. Huh. I'm not seeing the correct buttons that I need. Button. Who's got the button? I don't know if I can properly end the show. For some reason, there are certain buttons that I need to push, and I'm not seeing it. Very strange. It's very, very strange. I don't see the particular button that I need. I might not be able to end the show. We might just have to be here forever and ever. Forever. There's no button. So we'll just have to do it the old-fashioned way. We'll have to earn it. All right. We'll just have to do it this way. We'll just do it live. We'll do it live. All right, guys. Here we go. Words of wisdom. It's time to say goodbye. We're all gonna come back and meet again. We'll have some fun times, hopefully nothing too bad. We might talk about war crimes. Might talk about Baghdad. I doubt we'll talk about door chimes. But if we did, I'd be only too glad. So I style of Easter, baby. Show is over, but could
Couldn't think of anything to rhyme with over. Now my whole rhyming scheme is all screwed up. Oh shit, I should have stuck to truck driving, who I tried to kid. At least when I was out there driving, I could handle a skid, but doing this live stream, baby, has been a real kid. So I hope to see y'all again right here on the Trucker John live stream. We're gonna do it again and again, right here in the Trucker John live stream. Yeah, the Trucker John live stream. We're gonna come back and do it all again. No, this ain't no dream. This is where we win. Right here on the Trucker John live stream. No, this time to say goodbye. The show is coming in. Don't be sad, no, don't you cry. We're all gonna come back and meet again. Rolling down the highway in my rusty old rig. I'm a retired trucker, but my spirit's still big. Living in Vegas, where the lights never sleep. Broadcasting my thoughts for the world to keep. From politics to pop culture, I've got it all. Sharing my views, no matter how big or small. Talking about food, the movies and bugs. Shining a light on all the social issues. No shows out to the desert, see the city so bright. But now I'm living in a different kind of fight. From my apartment in Las Vegas, I hold the key, exploring the world through my live stream for free. In my apartment in Las Vegas, I hold the key, exploring the world through my live stream for free. So you want to take a trip down Paradise Road, but it ain't that pretty, it ain't paved with gold. Everybody's got the dirty little secrets, everybody's got some things unknown. But if you ain't real careful, baby, it'll cut you down to the bone. Under all those bright lights, you've gotta learn to ignore the glitter. It's all about fight or flight, and you don't wanna do either. So go on down to Paradise Road, it'll make you wish that you were young. But all it'll do is make you feel old and regret trading in your love for love. It's all just a big charade, it's all just one big game, and it ain't about love. It's all about the thrills. It's about staying in the hunt. It's about going in for the kill. So head on down to Paradise Road. That's where your friends are now. They're the people that nobody knows. So go ahead and make your big show. So live it up on Paradise Road. Just don't let anyone know. It'll be your dirty little secret. that the whole world sees, hiding in plain sight among the scum and the thieves. So damn hard to ever be pleased. Everyone wants to live the good life. Everybody wants a piece of paradise. But where would you run? Where would you hide? What would you do to buy a little more time? Grandiose dreams of happily ever after are really just another day's end. And when the sun goes down, you just lay there wondering, can you really do it all again? You're praying for one last shot. You're hoping for one last big win. Paradise Road is calling, so you better hurry along. Paradise Road is calling, so you better hurry along. Sometimes I wonder why it takes so long for evil men to die. But I want you to know that when you go, you won't be missed. And the ground where you're laid, we're all gonna take a big giant piss. And for your end, we all anticipate without any love and too exhausted to hate. Your long-lasting legacy will be one of disgrace and shame throughout the annals of history. Your name will shrink, you'll lose your fame. And as you lay there drawing in your final breath, just know that you made us happiest in death. You will not be thought of kindly, and you won't be missed. And like I said before, on the ground you'll lay, I'm gonna take a big old piss. Show's over. I'm out of here, folks. Bye. See you later.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you very much.